Prepare yourself.
The opinions of the host and guests on this show are exclusively just that, opinions. That means that they shouldn't be the cause of your state of being offended. Why does everybody get so butthurt?
Okay, let's go.
Ready, go!
Welcome to And God Created Woman, where the arguments are necessary for the best make-up sex of your life. Unless you're single, and then we suggest you just go fuck yourself.
All right, and God Created Woman podcast. Dominic Izzo. I got Dr. Sara Solomon sitting with me today. Doc, I got to play the commentary that I did on your TikTok video after coming across it. And you and I are going to discuss this, including the, we call the shade that both of us were thrown. This is what I commented for the visual aspect. Dr. Sara Solomon, I would say fitness expert. Definitely, I'm going to let her describe herself in her own words. Strength coach, movement expert. I will dare assert this, even though she probably will not. Fundamentally, self-therapeutic aspects, and you're going to find in her teaching, which we're going to uncover today. I came across her stuff on TikTok, and obviously I'm a guy. The first thing I saw was this appeal of physical attraction, strength, athleticism, and there's a kettlebell exercise you're doing with. This is for Kegels, correct?
Yes, pelvic floor strengthening.
That's clinical. So I did a comment on this, and this is what I did, and we're going to talk about this.
I think you're crazy.
Ladies, this is what men are attracted to. Hear me out. Listen, we're attracted to women who are confident, bold, intelligent, daring, sexual without being too overtly sexual. That's what this woman is in her in content. I'm going to pay her a ton of compliments here. The problem is why men are not going to approach her or be intimidated her is because you women, right? When you have a woman like this, you're typically going to see in the comment section that other women are going to praise her for advancing female empowerment. They're going to be like, oh my God, I wish I could do that. But the second men start to give a woman like this attention, other women are so threatened by this woman's success, the totality of her success, that they're going to be like, oh, no, that's real women wouldn't post anything like that. Real women have curves. A real woman's body doesn't look like this. It blows me away how men are not allowed to be attracted to what we primarily want in a partner because you women are too ashamed and too jealous.
Doc, we're going to unpack that. Number one, thanks for joining us today. And can you give everyone a 360-degree view of who you are before we kind of dive into the totality of that video?
Thank you, Dominique, for having me. And I also wanted to thank you for responding to my video from an adult space. You're one of the few people who did. So thank you for that opportunity to come on here and discuss this with you.
Of course.
So my name is Sara, and I live in Toronto, Canada, and I'm 44 years old. And my story is that I supposedly did everything that I was supposed to do. I got my grade 10 piano. I got a full scholarship to university, got a Bachelor of Science in physiotherapy. I got a degree in dentistry, and I practiced dentistry for 10 years of my life. Now, I didn't get married or have children, and that wasn't really well received by many people in my life. Because apparently to really make it in life, you're supposed to be chosen by somebody who will put a ring on your finger and impregnate you a couple of times, right? Mm-hmm. So I spent the first 35 years of my life seeking external validation. I was even willing to stay in unhealthy relationships just so I could be chosen and deemed worthy by everybody else. And here's why I did that. Because the power of belonging is so strong, it causes many of us to actually sell ourselves out and self-abandon just to be chosen. So then one day, when I was about 35, I woke up and I realized I wasn't living the life I wanted for myself. I wasn't living the life I was supposed to be living. I wasn't even choosing myself. So I made the effort to stop turning a willful blind eye to my painful truths. And I acknowledged the role that I was playing to getting me to this wrong reality. And I admitted my mistakes so that I could start taking action to build the right reality for myself. And positive changes began happening. And that's when the authentic Sara started to emerge. So you'll never guess what I did.
Go on, what? What'd you do?
I quit dentistry.
Okay.
And yes, that took courage. Most people don't have the courage to leave a career or a relationship that they don't belong in. Change takes courage. So I quit dentistry and I returned to my true passion, which is human movement. I mentioned to you my first degree was in physiotherapy.
Mm-hmm.
So why did I return to this passion? And it's because I had let myself go. I had horrible knee pain, back pain, shoulder instability. I was suffering from urinary incontinence and painful intercourse. I was disconnected from my own body. I was visibly asymmetrical and I was miserable. So I spent 4 years of my life fixing my painful movement patterns. And this is what helped me become connected to my own body physically, sexually, and emotionally. And I think that's what you've witnessed when you checked out my TikTok.
Though that was empowerment. When I see that, any social media today is it's a look at me aspect. You know, when I was much younger, you didn't get any notoriety unless the news discovered you. Any video outlet, a TV. Today, we're in a day and age where anybody who has a cell phone has the opportunity to self-declare who they are. You could tell you're doing what could be considered a salacious activity by the ignorant, right? I guess I've had exposure to fitness and behavioral health and mental well health, and there's a connection to everything you're doing, especially sexual health. So what you were doing to me didn't strike me as anything shocking, but you willingly put yourself in a position on platforms where so much ignorance is bred. That takes massive confidence and security. Why did you feel the need to do that?
People with healthy self-esteem are comfortable with the fact that when they put themselves out there, they might not be well received. So the process of actually showing my entire journey has helped me build healthy self-esteem, and it's helping me inspire other women to do the same, to be comfortable with being vulnerable. Now, what's interesting is that I never thought in a million years when I first started posting my journey where like I literally couldn't even bend over and touch my toes or squat without horrid knee pain just to the toilet seat. Like I failed Canada Fitness in school. I was not an athletic person at all. I was a very academic person, as you can figure from my introduction here. So I never thought in a million years that 4 years of hard work would result in me being able to do the splits, handstands, ring muscle ups, and pole dancing all in my 40s. I'm 44. So I realized that sharing this journey and being vulnerable like that has actually inspired other people who perhaps are going through what I was going through at that time. What's interesting is that this whole journey has made me learn so much about human movement. It's made me a better teacher. And it's made me a more patient and resilient human, because achieving difficult skills like this is not something that happens instantly. You have to play the long game, which means you have to learn how to fall in love with the process. So just the act of showing up daily to improve myself, just 1% at a time, has helped me develop healthy self-esteem. And I was able to find the courage to tackle things in life that scared me, such as my fear of dancing or my fear of posting myself online. You know, that's why I do pole dancing. Pole dancing has helped me learn how to tackle learning hard things. And learning how to learn hard things is an important life skill to master, because you're either going to enjoy the process and play the long game, or you're going to make it a miserable experience and you're going to quit. And one thing I've learned by observing my clients over the years is that quitting is not an accident. So my training practice has ultimately become a mirror for everything else that's going on in my life, because my training practice requires integrity, commitment, patience and self-respect. Because nothing has come easy for me. I mean, I was so broken before. I literally had to show up and do the work and learn from my mistakes. So basically what you see when you look at my entire social media is that I've turned my mess into my message. My passion is helping other people learn how to use movement to heal themselves physically, emotionally, and sexually. And I believe movement can be a catalyst for all types of healing, because I've seen this happen to myself.
We live in a very sedentary lifestyle, and we look at infants who grow to play. They can touch their toes of their faces, and then over time, as we're sit in sedentary positions, we lose that functionality. I made assumptions to a degree that your message was specifically geared towards female empowerment almost. But hearing how you speak, hearing your educated journey, you're pragmatic. You're very well, you're an internal processor. You could tell that you think before you wind up speaking, which is the exact opposite of me. You are, I guess I said pragmatic, structured, but to then put that on display is artistic as well too. That's right and left brain balancing out. Can you tell me what is the main perception people get that they need to shatter when they look at your social media content? Because again, I'm wrong. My initial thought was this is female empowerment, but it does not seem like you are advocating for one sex or gender over the other. You're putting out a message, and your message is succinctly well thought out and structured, but you're putting it out in a balanced way, which is it's emitting a female energy by default. So what is your primary message, and how are you misperceived online? And then how would you address that misperception? Do
you really think that is a female
100%, 100% because that's before speaking to you. Because again, a lot of your TikTok stuff is demonstrate only. It's demonstrative only. There's not a real lot of narrative in there. Hearing you talk, like you and I discussed beforehand, I wanted to come up with a selection of things to ask, and they still fit. But hearing you speak now, because this is the first conversation you and I have had, you're shattering a pre-assumption I had based off of visual cues that were given. Now I'm hearing the pragmatic conversation. I'm hearing the dialogue. I'm hearing the reservation in how you speak. I'm hearing the thought out, responsible answers. So it's not geared just towards women. You're gearing towards humans as in the totality.
Exactly. I feel that one thing I'm actually good at is balancing both my masculine and my feminine side and showcasing that on social media, for example. I feel my masculine side gets expressed when I'm working towards a goal, making progress, getting things done, pushing forward, taking action. And I also feel that my feminine side gets expressed when I'm being creative or dancing or playing or discussing my feelings. And I feel that it's not fair to say that, oh, well, I'm masculine because I can carry my body weight with a sandbag 130 pounds for 400 meters, or I can deadlift 225 pounds or do a ring muscle up. No, it's not masculine because of that. It would be masculine because I'm actually taking action to better myself in life. Similarly, I spend time, doing needlepoint and learning how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Is that masculine? Well, I think it could be because I'm actually working towards making progress and getting things done, but it doesn't have any negative impact on my feminine side. It's a nice balance.
How do we address that? Because that's always a problem, right? The problem is I clearly demonstrated the problem, which is an assumption. Okay, this woman is out here to promote female empowerment. Clearly, again, we have to look at it this way too. A lot of women are going to give you garbage because you look a certain way. You're built. You're a fitness professional. You exude confidence, which is intimidating to a lot of people, as it is to men who may pursue you. Addressing that or shattering the myth. How do you personally solve the problem of, or is it worth solving the people who are going to make the assumptions off the bat of who you're specifically focused for?
My goal is to to encourage people and inspire people to take action in their life to build themselves. And it doesn't matter what that is, whether it's needlepoint, pole dancing, or, I don't know, doing snatches and cleans. The point is that you're working on something to improve yourself, or it could be self-development, improving the way you learn how to relate to other human beings. So my feelings are, I'm actually too busy taking action in my own life to build myself, to notice or care if someone else is feeling triggered by me. And it's okay if I'm not your cup of tea. Chances are you're not my cup of tea either, mostly because I don't like small pieces of turd in my tea. And my feelings are, if you have to actually say something to me that's clearly indicating to me that you're triggered in the comments, my response to you is words equal failure of action. You're too busy writing something on my thing because you're not taking action in your own life. And that's why you were triggered enough to even write that in the first place. Words equal failure of action. People are triggered by me because I'm taking action, and that made them feel inadequate because they're not taking action. It doesn't even matter what the action is. It could even be the wrong action. Great. The wrong action will eventually lead you to the right action.
Mm-hmm. Moving into problems, you're talking about something where I've always noticed over the years, as a man from the outside, that women will support other women like you, right? You have attained what a lot of people, not just women, but a lot of people in general, just they do not. People are quitters by a lot of nature. I touched upon this before when we talked. It was, you have so many women who support until now. Here's what you're not doing. What you are not doing is attention seeking. There is no vibe I get from you whatsoever that has a self-serving narcissistic role of, I'm putting out content to have attention. You just don't give off that vibe. Even when we initiate contact, you don't. But you're going to get it, both genuine and superficial, of which then women will seem to turn on you and then condemn what you're putting out there. Where is that? How does that transcend the gender roles of you got support from women and then they condemn you when you get the attention of men on a very basic primal level? How and why does that happen?
Okay, well, whenever I catch myself negatively judging another woman, it's usually a sign that whatever she's doing is triggering something much deeper inside of me that makes me feel inadequate. And that, again, is a sign I need to take productive action in my own life. Your triggers are your teachers, so pay attention. If you feel triggered by me, pay attention, because you're only triggered by the things that you don't like about yourself. The mirror never lies. And here's the thing. All the content that I put out there is my own personal healing journey. So here's what you might not know about why I actually posted that vaginal weightlifting video. All of my pain and problems with my body, my movement patterns, were caused by having a weak core. And a lot of people don't necessarily know how to define the core. Core is a buzzword, but do you actually even know what that means? So think of the core as a box. So the bottom of the box is your pelvic floor. The top of the box is the diaphragm. And then the sides of the box are your deep core muscle called the transverse abs, the TVA. So in order for me to learn how to properly activate my core so I can properly stabilize my spine when I move and therefore move safely, I need to actually know how to engage my TVA, how to be connected to my diaphragm, how to actually use my breath to connect to my core. And then what do I do about the fact that my pelvic floor is extremely weak? Well, I need to also strengthen that and learn how to connect my breath to the TVA and the pelvic floor. Everything works together. And so that's why I'm basically known as the core lady. I help people to connect with their cores, and this will improve pain in your body. It will improve your mobility. Like if you're tight and in pain, it will fix that. And it'll allow you to be able to learn cool things with your body. Like you'll be able to learn things like handstands or splits or pull-ups or whatever it is that you fancy, or just give you quality of life when you move, give you some freedom when you move. And the other beautiful thing with connecting to the core is that it's going to allow you to connect with your sexual life force. So if your pelvic floor is dead or weak because you don't use it or you've had a child, how do you know? Well, you probably have urinary incontinence when you sneeze, cough, or jump rope or deadlift. That's a sign that you have a weak core, including your pelvic floor. So if people actually read the caption in my TikTok viral video that said, for more information, go watch my YouTube video. There's a 20-minute video there explaining everything about urinary incontinence, pelvic floor dysfunction, who's even, allowed to consider doing pelvic floor strengthening. Why would it be indicated? Why would it be contraindicated? And what's cool is that some people actually went and watched that video, and now I'm able to help these people. So that's actually why I'm putting this out there. I'm looking for people who are going through what I was going through, and I would love to help them.
Can you talk about the introspection of that? When you go through the process, you're talking external first, and to do so requires a lot of, you're literally breaking down pieces of yourself. I mean, it's like when you walk, you're not thinking of what the relationship of your ankle and your knee and your spine all get together. You're just moving forward in a general consensus. But when you come down to the fact of, okay, I'm breaking down, how's the plantar flexion and dorsiflexion of my foot working in conjunction with my butt cheek? You're talking about some really taking outside, and now you have to focus in, especially when you're doing breath work. I mean, that's Eastern. Now you're really focusing on internal. What did that do for your mental well-being when you started this, and how in tune with yourself are you now?
When your body levels up, your mind will inevitably level up with it. I am not the same person I was when I started this journey 5 years ago. I was broken back then, and this has healed me physically, emotionally, mentally, and sexually. That's why I firmly believe that movement can be the catalyst to help you become who you really want to authentically be in your life. And what you said about like thinking about the plantar flexion to the butt cheek, that was cute. I actually don't think about stuff like that. I really just focus on making sure that I'm properly engaging my core, and I'm nasal breathing, connecting to my core. All correct human movement is inspired by the TVA inspired movement, which means you're in a flow state, parasympathetic nervous system. So hence the nasal breathing. So that's really all I showcase when you watch me move is TVA inspired movement, which is beautiful to watch.
How does it help you wind up associating with other human beings? Because your energy, you have a very strong energy, but it doesn't seem too forgiving. Meaning that if there's a slight against you, you're still strong enough to, I don't know, end the conversation, so to speak, right? But how has the introspection of discovering both your physiology and your mental well-being improved your antenna to being more, I guess, beneficial to helping others? How has that helped you? Because if you were a doctor and a dentist first, you're a nurturer off the bat. I mean, that's passionate, that's compassion. Now you're transcending into a totality of well-being. How has this journey helped you, connect better with others?
Oh, so much, because it's helped me connect with myself. You cannot connect with other people unless you first learn how to connect with yourself, which means getting really good at being alone. A lot of people have a hard time being alone, and I'm not afraid to be alone. Being alone has a power that very, very few people can handle. So as a result, I've learned how to choose myself first, and I refuse to shave off pieces of myself or abandon myself in order to prevent someone else from running away from me or in order to be accepted by a group. I will never lose myself to keep other people in my life. So I really think that what this has done for me is it's allowed me to change the way that I relate to other people based on how they are interacting with me. It's giving me the confidence to extricate myself if necessary.
You keep coming back to the sexual aspect of it, the sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about connection with that. Can you, without just general, without giving specifics, can you talk about how this journey has better improved, and I'm not talking on a physical level, better improved connections you've had via either communication, understanding, relation? How has this journey helped you better either opened up or become aware or improved personal relationships? Not in a sexual way so much, but I guess within the realm of that, because when you're talking about how it's improved sexuality, you know, one of the biggest problems that we have with men and women are communication, and that always boils down to projection, right? If I'm going to bring up an argument or something, it's something I'm insecure about. Well, if you're coming back to so much self-awareness, that clearly means you know who you are and you're aware of that. So if you're bringing that into a connection and a relationship that is going to be based on sex, because that's a step up above friendship, how has that improved your ability to coexist in a relationship with whoever you choose?
On the outside, you're an attorney, calm and cool. But inside, there's a passion to perform, a drive to be absolutely on your game. You prepare hour after hour, day after day in the pursuit of excellence, relying on superior resources, serious preparation, and total confidence. That's the advantage we give you. Be your best with Thomson Reuters Practical Law.
First of all, do you understand what the pelvic floor strengthening actually does to enhance sex?
From a martial arts point of view, I know what my Dantian is. So I'm going to ignorantly say I might, because that's a big focal point of where we spend in Chinese martial arts, is on that 3 to 4 inches below the navel. That's where we draw energy up from the earth and we store it into, and then it's released outside of every area of the body. So I'm going to say I don't know how to answer that, but I may go, oh yeah, you know, when you say something. So I yes and maybe no.
Okay, so I can tell you based on what actually I observed that happened to me. So, you know, back in 2016, I mentioned to you that whenever I would jump rope, I would suffer from jumping incontinence. And I also was suffering from painful intercourse. I didn't enjoy sex at all. And obviously like vaginal dryness, odor, all the issues that go with that. And as I obviously started to take a deep dive into my own healing journey, I started to explore strengthening the pelvic floor, because you might not know this, but the pelvic floor, activating it is what actually turns on the TVA. So that's why I was interested in learning about the pelvic floor. So the pelvic floor strengthening, the first thing I noticed is that I had increased lubrication, no more odor, and sex was no longer painful. And I started to feel more connection. I could actually, like, my vagina started to have feeling. Before it felt like maybe it was dead, and then it started to feel like I could actually feel and experience in a whole new way. And it completely changed my sexual experiences. So prior to 2016, I had never had a vaginal orgasm. But through the pelvic floor strengthening, I was actually able to achieve that. So for a lot of women out there who think that, oh, well, you know, it's just not my destiny to be able to have an internal orgasm, that's not true. It's just a case of you need to find connection to your pelvic floor, learn how to engage it and strengthen it. Now, what you see me doing is obviously extreme. I mean, the world record is 31 pounds, and I'm kind of an intense person, as you said, so I'm just curious to see if I can beat the world record. It's really not relevant for what I need for practical purposes in my life. And I wouldn't advocate anybody do anything so extreme. However, strengthening the pelvic floor has completely changed my entire experience. And because my sexual experience is so much... it's just so much better. It's allowed me to tap into my creative energy. It's made me feel more energetic, revitalized. It's completely helped me self-actualize. So there is a lot of value in strengthening the pelvic floor. Now, not everybody's a candidate for it right out of the gates. Some people will have a hyperactive pelvic floor. So first they need to learn how to relax their pelvic floor before they would be able to proceed with strengthening the pelvic floor. And one tip I could give to women, if women are listening, is to stop forcing out your pee. Don't push your pee out. Just let it fall out naturally with gravity. So if you do have a hyperactive pelvic floor and you know it's time to start learning how to fully relax your pelvic floor. So what was your question? I forgot.
I wanted to know how this made you, and I'm going to go again. Remember, if I get personal, you could just tell me that you don't want to answer anything, but what it sounds like is you have so much self-discovery, and now you're entering into a world of, this is new, right? It's like a kid in a candy store. Did this help you become closer to whichever human you chose based on all of what you, because if people are going to listen to this, they're going to be like, I've never had a vaginal orgasm. I've never had this. I've never had that. You're now creating the hope that this could happen. You could experience new sensations. Women are very emotional creatures. Now, all of a sudden, you're talking about including bonding in, because whoever you choose to bring into the world to experience this new sensation that you are feeling physically, that's going to, I'm assuming, potentially release chemicals, bonding, emotions are there. You're talking about awesome new experiences with whatever human you choose. Has that been something that you've experienced that has made you be more closer to your partners?
Absolutely, but you have to choose wisely.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, we all screw that one up.
You can't, if you're like, you've looked after your body in a way that's turned your body into a Bentley, you can't hook up with a Kia
Mm-hmm.
and expect to have, the gourmet experience that you've actually earned. So, I mean, you want to make sure you're bettering your lot in life when you select a partner. Don't,
well, let's go back. Then let's go back to the perception, which was the original point of my post. There's an elitist, right? You are that Ferrari showroom. I would have put you at a, not a Bentley, but, what is the Phantom? That's not, it's Rolls Royce. If you're a Rolls Royce on display, you're going to get the people who automatically, I'm not good. She's way out of my league and this and that. But you don't seem like that when you talk. You have a very introspective way of delivering things where, yeah, you've got pride over who you are. But I have to wonder, and it's a good thing because you're weeding people out. At what point do you feel that there's also relationships that you miss out on because people misperceive the public persona of who you are?
I realize that who I am and everything I've built myself to be is going to reflect the type of person I want to attract. So if I'm pissing people off, then I guess that's romantic Darwinism at its finest. It's good that those people are not approaching me. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. They're weeding themselves out.
They're weeding themselves out. At the end of the day, I mean, that's their discomfort to deal with. I mean, their prejudgment of me is theirs to deal with, not mine.
Do you have any fear of regression? You came from such a place of, mess and pain. Are you hard on yourself to prevent yourself from slipping back, or do you ever give yourself any type of forgiveness or leeway for any slip-ups?
I value the mistakes that I make because they've been the most valuable lessons that I've ever had in my life. Remember what I told you, it doesn't matter if you take the wrong action, because taking the wrong action will eventually lead you to the right action. Just take action. That's my message. Like, if you want to have a title for this podcast, take action. Take action in your own life.
Doc, let's talk about some solutions in self-awareness. Let's look at, if you're giving blanket advice for people to wind up asking the questions of themselves. Do I need improvement? Should I start looking into things? If you have somebody on the fence, which most people are, they're not self-aware. They're not self-aware like you. Majority of people out there do not know that they could have an improved everything, physiological aspect, which will bleed into mental well-being and improved quality of life. What kind of litmus tests or blanket questions could you give people to ask themselves to put them on a road for self-discovery and improvement?
That's a really great question. And, I didn't even know back prior to 2016, I had no clue. I lacked the self-awareness. And we have to often go through something that makes us hit rock bottom. And then we can start to pay attention to all the advice that people say, right? So what would I say to my former self? And actually, what is a practice of mine that I say to myself every single week? There are two things actually I do every week to check in on myself. And this is what prevents chronically escalating internal shitstorms. So number one, I look at myself in the mirror and I force myself to own my own bullshit. And I say, Sarah, you did this shit to yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, you have the choice to choose to be a victim or a victor. And you have to choose victory every single damn time. You have to condition yourself to go to victory. So that means you have to take ownership and figure out what actions you need to start taking in your life to overcome, and realize that whatever situation you're in, you created it or you co-created it. Number two, I asked myself, if I die tomorrow, would I be satisfied with my life?
Would you?
And this is the good kick in the butt for me to know exactly what actions I have to take every week in order to feel satisfied with my life.
What does it cost you?
What does it cost me?
What has it cost you? You to everything, for being a competitive athlete the way you are, changing careers. I mean, that's no small feat. Changing careers like that, going on a different path, putting yourself out there on a level that is most people can't. What has or have you even noticed if this has cost you anything?
Gosh, it's done so much to change my life for the better. I'm actually authentically Sarah. I'm living the life that I actually want to live. I mean, have you ever had that moment where you have your soul wake up and you're like, holy fuck, I need to make some changes. This isn't the life I'm supposed to be living. I'm living somebody else's life. So the fact that I can sit here and tell you wow, I made all the changes that I needed to make in order to be living the life that I want to live. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that. It took balls. Leaving dentistry took balls. Mm-hmm. Leaving a lot of relationships behind, it took balls. Posting myself being vulnerable, starting from day one with my journey, it takes balls. But that's who I am. I've become the person who's conditioned herself to replace fear with courage.
What's the primary driver? For me, I'm an overachiever. Everything I do, I have to excel at. Didn't matter if it was being a cop, radio, business, whatever. I have to be the best at everything because I'm terrified of sacrificing potential I know that I have. And I'm also incredibly insecure in the way that I want to be seen as an attainer. So I have that insecure factor of, if you do not achieve, you have no human worth. You're not giving back to society. What's your primary driver?
I used to be an overachiever, but I'm a high performer now. And there's a difference between the two. I am showing up to make small 1% daily improvements, and I've learned to embrace the process. And I told you, what is healthy self-esteem? It's being comfortable with the fact that you're human and therefore you're going to suck at things. And I told you one of my priorities is learning how to learn. And that means being comfortable sucking and making a fool of yourself. The reality is that anything worth achieving in life is going to take a long time to get there. It took me 4 years to be able to do a ring muscle up. I've probably done about 40,000 handstands in my lifetime, in the past 5 years. I'm not kidding. Mm-hmm. This is all stuff I had to earn. And I looking back at my befores, I'm like, oh my God, that was so bad. But I look at that version of Sarah and I'm so damn proud of her, because even though it looked like crap, she still chose to show up for herself every single day just to make small 1% daily improvements. And acknowledging little wins every day built healthy self-esteem that made me realize, wow, I am making progress, especially when I would compare it to photos from 3 months ago, which is why I tell everybody, please, you need to be taking videos and screen captures of your progress so that you actually identify that you are making progress. Because I told you, quitting is not an accident. People are constantly trying to gather evidence for reasons why they should quit. And if you think about it, quitting is actually the ultimate act of self-hatred.
100%.
So that's where I feel like I do inspire a lot of people, because I'm willing to put myself out there looking like I'm missing like 3 chromosomes when I'm trying to learn things. And I hope that that gives people the courage to realize, like, we all start somewhere. We just have to recognize that you can't base things off of talent. You actually have to show up and do the work and earn these things. Like the people who are really good at stuff that we see on Instagram, they did their time. You just didn't see all the 10 years of them doing that.
You just hit on something that's very key, is that there's the difference between inspiration, motivation, and then definitely helping to attain on their own, meaning that you do not seem like somebody who lives off of, oh my God, Sarah, you're so inspirational to me. Doc, you helped me out so much. It's the passing on of the knowledge to get people self-sustaining, right? You know, as a teacher, I never wanted my students to praise me. I want them better than me for a couple different reasons. It's purely marketing. If somebody says, oh, you train with Dominic Izzo, and they see a phenomenal skill set, I'm going to attract more people to train. Second thing is, the better my students are, the more they chase me and the more I have to improve in order to prevent them from chasing me. And I will always know that if I die tomorrow, I've created a great legacy of people who could be their own individuals. That being said, with you, where is the value, or how do you get the people who come to you for help to be self-sustaining and build their own momentum as time goes on? I know that's a very dynamic question, but in just generalities, how do you find that to be done?
I basically do a ton of mindset work, because it's really all about the mindset, because I believe that we all have the physical capability to do these things. Like, I'm proof. Like, I was the most broken person under the sun, and I became physically capable of doing some pretty advanced gymnastic skills. So I believe most people are physically capable. It's a question of, are you able to overcome your mental limitations? Because if you can overcome your mental limitations, then you can overcome your physical limitations. So it really boils down to learning how to play the long game. So that's why I spend most of my time doing mindset work with my clients. Do you know the story of the Chinese bamboo tree?
I do not.
Okay, so it's the perfect parable to our own experience with growth. So when you plant the seed, it does nothing for 5 years. You water and care for it, but absolutely nothing happens for the first year, nor the second year, nor the third, nor the fourth. You see no results from your labor until year 5. And in year 5, the Chinese bamboo tree grows 80 feet in 6 weeks. So what can you learn from the Chinese bamboo tree? Can you stay focused and continue to believe in what you are doing, even if you don't see immediate results?
It's accompanied by explosive growth afterwards.
Exactly. I literally didn't have these results until I'm the Chinese bamboo tree story. I didn't have these results until about year 4 or year 5. And that's because in the first 4 years, I was busy building a very solid core foundation. For God's sakes, I can lift 20 pounds with my vagina. So I really try to get people to just piece the days together, focusing on their wins, their small daily wins. The small daily wins mean so much, and they have a cumulative effect. So I'm like, please post your wins in the group. I don't care if it's a little tiny win, like, oh, I got my toe pointed today. Great. It's a win. You know, what's interesting, Dominique, is I used to be so outcome based, like, oh, I have to get this ring muscle up. I have to get it by this time or else. And I told you, it ended up taking me 4 years, which I feel like the universe did that to me on purpose to teach me a very important lesson, not to focus on the outcome, but rather to focus on the person I become along the way. The thing is, if it had happened for me right away, the ring muscle up, like if it had been easy, then it would have meant nothing to me, and no learning, no growth would have happened. I wouldn't have developed my mindset, nothing. But the fact that it took me 4 years and I had to learn how to change the way I would speak to myself during my training sessions, it ended up making me a better teacher and a better human being. Because think about all the learning that happened, and think about the development of the mindset and the grit that happened there. So I thank the universe for making it take 4 years, because now I can help anybody learn how to do a ring muscle up, because everything that could possibly go wrong, well, it happened to me. So I figured out workarounds. How do we actually tackle that so that we can make progress? Because the bottom line is, if you can't do something, it's just a sign that you need to figure out what you need to learn first. So let's break that down. So the beauty of things taking a long time for me to learn, because I'm a slow learner, nothing has come easy for me. It's allowed me to figure out, okay, what do we need to learn first? And I think that's what makes me a good teacher.
Talk about joys. You do have, again, I'm going to go back to the structure, the pragmatic, the place of pain going into the process. You are very, very, very much about the process. That does not leave room for a lot of fucking around. But joys, do you allow yourself to experience the reward? Have you sat back and just, have you appreciated happiness, or are you so critical and really goal driven? Do you ever give yourself moments of joy and happiness where you're like, man, I have come so damn far. I love where I am right now. Are you experiencing life where you're at now and really loving it?
Yes, I have to tell you that there's been many times where it's just been so overwhelming when I look at my befores and I look at what's happening today, that I actually have tears come to my eyes. Like when I did get my press handstand and my ring muscle up, I cried. It was just such an amazing moment to realize that I was a challenge tackling machine, and I was strong the whole time. I didn't even know it. I didn't know it. I thought the outcome was what was going to define me as being strong, but the strength came from the fact that I never quit on myself throughout those 4 or 5 years. And so that's where I hope I can change people's perspectives on stop, putting the outcome on such a pedestal. Rather start putting on a pedestal the fact that you are showing up from day one and you show up on day 2 just to make small 1% daily improvements. And you keep showing up. It's an act of self-love. Show up for yourself.
How do you take it when people quit? Do you take it personally, or have you learned?
That's something I had to overcome. I really had to work hard on that, because I used to take it personally. That's definitely something that does still trigger me to this day, and I am still working on that. But I also realized that, not everybody's ready. Like I wasn't ready to start this journey prior to 2016. And I know that people can find me again when they're ready.
What did that require? Meaning that you're pouring so much of yourself into somebody it's intimacy. People are coming to you with pain, trauma, and you're even exchange of discussing sexual energy requires vulnerability. So you're definitely crossing intimate bounds, and then somebody is, I quit. What did that do to you? And then how do you see, again, I know you just said it, but how do you really see it now? Because I don't think you could turn off empathy, but how did you adapt? And then how do you move forward?
What this has done is it's made me redo my program about 4 times. I just relaunched it again because I realized that these people are giving me clues about how I can actually be a better teacher. So I thank these people. And I also understand that people leave for other extenuating circumstances too. So you can't read into everything as well. And we all have different passions in life too. And maybe, you realize that, hey, this isn't for me. So no, I'm trying to figure out how I can be a better teacher based on this.
What's the next step for you? What do you see next in the next projected project?
I'm just going to keep taking productive action, and who knows where that'll lead me. I'm pretty damn excited about it.
Good. Before we close out, because I'm going to ask you one more question. Number one, promote where people can get a hold of you, and what do you encourage they reach out to you for?
You can find me on my website, drsarasolomon.com, or on social media. TikTok, Instagram is at Dr. Sara Solomon. Facebook is Sara Solomon Fitness. YouTube as well. I'm there, Sara Solomon. So you can find me there. And you can hit me up in DMs on Instagram and Facebook Messenger. So you can definitely reach out.
All right. Give me 3 things, general, because you can't do specific. What are 3, advice statements you would give somebody to start the journey with improving their physical health going into their mental health and well-being? It's very vague, I know. Very vague, I know.
I would say ditch the instantaneous mindset. That you learn to embrace the lag time, because what you do right now isn't necessarily going to manifest itself tomorrow. So that would be my first piece of advice. Number 2, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Learn how to learn and realize that it's building healthy self-confidence if you actually suck at first. And the most important thing you can do, number 3, is acknowledge your daily wins, small daily wins, acknowledge them, celebrate them. Get excited about that. That's what's going to build momentum, and it'll keep you going.
I tell you, Doc, it's something else. I had no idea, because like I said, I made the assumption in the beginning, you're definitely so much further than just a surface stuff. And we'd love to have you back on. This was fantastic. Guys, this is Dr. Sara Solomon, drsarasolomon.com. Make sure you check her out. Follow her on Instagram, social media, TikTok, all that. And definitely reach out to her for any service she has. We'll see you guys in the next podcast. I hope you guys have a great damn day.